DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool. Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Newmark, and DJNTV Insiders.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Running Your DJ Business with KC and Brian B.
How you doing, Brian?
Good,
Happy
buddy.
Thursday, pal.
Yeah, good times. How's your week?
Week has been okay. You know, we had I had a busy weekend. Normally, it's you talking about how busy your weekend was, but I actually, for those of you who don't know it, I'm a quasi-active performing DJ. And this weekend, I worked Saturday night and I worked Sunday and did production on Sunday. Actually, didn't just point to staff members, but ran cafe lights for the first time in my career, which was a little bit of a learning experience, which I don't mind because I've learned and now I know what to do for the next time, especially at this venue because the venue loved it.
Right.
We did. So now I'm just going to tweak it, make it a little more decorative and kind of go from there. But the week's been busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, yeah. And how about with you?
So I just got back Tuesday from a week in Florida. This was, if you remember, we talked about last week, I was about to go do a sales blitz, which was
that's right.
Fantastic.
Did we talk about that on air? Just you and I talked personally.
I don't know. I don't remember, but long story short, I basically have become the salesman for our Florida office. And so, but that's going to require me to come in at least quarterly, but after this week, I may come in more frequently just to meet with venues and go do it. And already I'm seeing a return. So go see your venues and stuff. And then I didn't have an event this weekend. That's kind of why I picked that. So I was the assistant to two of my DJs, which is always, I don't know. It's weird. I guess I haven't been in that position in a while where like I was playing for my boss, if you will.
Okay.
But they were super nervous. And like, these are guys who have been doing this for years and years. Like, it's not like this is like their first gig or first event. Let's call it that way. But they were all nervous. And they did a great job, but it was just like, I think to see that I'm their assistant, basically, kind of.
I can see that.
So it was fun. It was good to see the progress of some of our guys and where they're at and all of that. And then I'm getting ready. I'm leaving tomorrow morning on a plane, 5:20 a.m. to Louisville, Kentucky. Bourbon country, baby.
Oh, yeah? Wait, you're getting on a plane? What?
Yeah, tomorrow morning. So I'm just doing a rehearsal dinner. And then back for an event here in New York on Saturday. So it's going to be a quick one and done.
Gotcha. Well, let's run down today's topics, and then we'll jump into them. We're going to start right away with standards, and it's kind of funny because I had a situation this weekend where I had a photo booth company. Well, I had a bride's mom I had a bride call me we were doing her DJ work. Didn't negotiate the price. They were totally cool. They paid my price. I was fine. Happy clamper. They called me up about 3 weeks ago and they said, you guys offer photo booths, yes? And I go, oh yeah, our photo booth's fantastic. It's not like these Mickey Mouse, ugly, tents and all these other things that so I really sold ours. And she goes, well, what does it cost? I said, normally it's $14.99. I said, you're 3 weeks out. I have it available. I will give it to you for $9.99. And I just view it just like hotel rooms where I want it working. I'll take a bit of a cut and I'm okay with that. She goes, oh, I don't know if my mom wanted to pay that much. So they hired somebody else, which is okay. I'm fine with that. I quite honestly had forgotten all about it until that day. And the reason that I remembered it that day was cocktail hour started at 6.
Mm-hmm.
The photo booth company came at like 10 after 6. When we were going out to the lobby to line people up for the introductions at 7, they still weren't set up.
Yeah.
And it was what looked like a nice teenage kid in a pair of black jeans and gym shoes. Not exactly wedding etiquette. And so I took a picture, posted it. Ironically, this gentleman's mom somehow got notified of it. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know the name of the company. I didn't say anything. And the picture barely showed the person. But when she said, how dare you post a picture of a minor, I took it down because I didn't even think about that aspect of it. So then I shot her a note saying, just want to let you know I took the picture down. And she came back at me saying, totally unprofessional. I can't believe you would do that. I was going to come to your show in Chicago. And now you can forget it, to which I'm going to call BS because she's never come to any of the educational stuff my bridal show company's done. She's never come to any of the networking events that I've ever seen within the industry. So, not that I'm passing judgment, but she tends to be, they run a lot of Groupons and that's where they get a lot of their business. Anyhow, it's what you and I talked and it kind of spurred the conversation of just what are your standards? Like, I would never, ever allow a photo booth from my company to go out. And, typically we have a 3-hour package. The photo booth time is normally 8 until 12.
Right.
I build into my package the payroll that I know I'm going to pay out that night, period, the average. And I build in the packages where it includes advanced setup. And then again, we have everything programmed and done. We have a sign that says photo booths will open at whatever time.
Right.
And that's it. To me, it's really not that different than having the bar opening or closing, but the bar is stocked. And in our case, we're all ready.
Right.
So I posted it on the photo booth network. And some people say that they charge the client for what they call idle time. So if you want it set up ahead of time, we will set it up and then they charge a $30 or $40 an hour fee for the person to be there. So anyhow, moving forward, for those of you that follow me on Facebook on the top subject of company standards and such, if you're not following my dilemmas with Comcast for the last 3 years, I can tell you they're probably the worst company on the face of the planet. We're in the process of switching, to which our official disconnection is supposed to be on June 15th, and we're switching to a company called WOW. Now, the interesting thing about it is we're not switching because it's cheaper. They happen to be less expensive, but they're also giving me more for the money, and I just can't stand Comcast. Like every chance I've had, every opportunity I've had for them to screw something like they have. And even with this, when they emailed me to confirm that we were indeed leaving, I emailed them back saying, yes, unfortunately, due to repeated chances and due to horrible customer service, we have chose to switch to WOW. You can you can go ahead and proceed with the disconnection. That was supposed to be on June 15th. They turned it off today. 10:30 this morning, our phones were off. So, of course, I couldn't call. I called from my cell phone. And the first email that I got from a representative named Cheyenne was, Hello, Keith. I've reached out and spoken with my management in regards to the disconnection of your services. We are unable to reactivate the services as the VDR was signed and confirmed. In order to reinstate services, you'll need to contact our sales department. Now, I never signed any VDR and confirmed. I don't even know what a VDR is. But again, rather than trying to solve my problem, she immediately put this on me. So I sent her back an email saying, please show me where I signed anything. Okay. So then what happened was I got an email at 2:45 p.m. saying, hello, I'm very sorry, sir. This is all my fault. I'm going to have somebody with me and rebuild your voice edge service and other services now. My supervisor will still reach out to you, but I will begin on resetting the service now. I am so sorry for this. I'll make sure that we make this right and get it up and running for you right away. That's at 2:45. I got a phone call from a supervisor. He told me they were in the process of doing it. Okay. So at, let's see, at 6:45 p.m., I get an email saying, hello, it seems we've hit a snag. However, we will get the BVE, which I think is Business Voice Edge, phone service up first thing in the morning. We are waiting on one thing and have escalated it to get it complete. We will restore service first thing tomorrow. I greatly apologize. So I obviously respond to her immediately, okay, saying that this is 100% unacceptable. We have not had phone services since this morning. When will we have phone services again? I have staff here doing, oh, no, that was earlier. Sorry. Let's go back. I said, this is simply not acceptable. If Comcast phone services went down, you would be working around the clock to get yourself restored. I'm expecting the same service that you would be giving yourself at 6:45 right away. Got no response. So obviously Cheyenne had gone home for the day. And even though she apologized and everything else, it obviously wasn't that important to her. Now, I call in yet again. And I have to explain this now for the third time to people. And here it is, folks. I was put on hold. It's like 45 minutes ago. And I'm still on hold. And I'm showing this just to be that guy. As you can see, it's kind of hard with the glare. But I am on, it's 1-877-761-7401. I am still on hold. And it's been 1 hour and 17 minutes now. Still no resolution. So when we talk about company standards, my question, and I know this was a very long intro, I apologize to everybody, but here's the funny part. Like, they do one thing, right? They sell phone service, they sell internet, and they sell TV. That's it, right? That's what they do. Okay. You do 1, 2, maybe 3 things, right? You sell disc jockey services. You sell probably lighting decor and perhaps photo booth services. Okay.
Yep.
Now, do you think like you could turn around and tell a bride, like, I don't have your first dance, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my team on it and we're going to get back to you first thing in the morning. No,
you couldn't do it.
Right. And yet this is the biggest communication company in the country, probably.
But you just hit it on the head. That's why they're doing it. That's why they're able to do it.
But here's the thing. You would think they're the biggest. Like, how are you not good at what you do?
Because they've built their company to such a level that the things that got them there, they're not doing anymore, clearly. Right? Because, I mean, how can you build yourself to that level without some type of customer service or some type of edge, unless you have some kind of monopoly? Like, I know that in our Florida market, you have to use, I can't remember what it was. I think it's Cox. You have to use Cox Communications. You can't use anybody else.
Well, here we have AT&T, we've got Dish, we've got Wow, and that's why I'm switching. But yeah, I mean, like, seriously. So I got the last guy that I talked to said he kept putting me on hold and giving me the same cubicle thing. Can you hold on for 2-3 minutes? I just need to research something. Okay, you come back on. And I would say, why don't you just turn me over to a manager? Because like you're stuck with what you can do in your cubicle. So the last time he comes on, I need to reach out to a manager. Would you mind if I put you on hold? And I said, actually, yeah, I kind of do. He goes, I'm going to go talk to a manager. I'll be right back. And it was 20 minutes. So we're on, that was 45 minutes ago. Exactly 45 minutes ago. So I'm curious to see if they're ever going to pick up the phone in the hour that we're on. So if I take a phone call during, you guys all know what it's all about. So it'll be interesting. And if nothing else, I'm going to email this link to a manager saying you put somebody on hold for over an hour. So we'll see what ends up happening. So stay tuned, folks. Follow me on my Facebook page, not on Marquee, but on my personal page, because I'm going to give you updates on this whole thing.
Yeah.
But it stands to say, what are your standards? Like, what do you think is appropriate? And like, what are your absolute positive, under no circumstances do I think a person that calls themselves a professional should break? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be a fireable offense for your company?
Starting late.
Okay. But even that one, I could understand.
I mean, unless there's an emergency.
Right.
I mean,
unless there's an emergency.
Right.
Okay. But that would be, but if someone's consistently late, yeah, they're
right. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Just because we've talked about it so much as a team, backups, we're really big on that. And because I harp on it, I don't expect us to ever run into an issue where there's a backup issue, because we've covered what our policy is.
As far as backup equipment on property?
Yeah. Music more so than anything else, but like having multiple sources where if your computer goes down, you have some type of backup in place.
Okay. Got it.
Whether could be your phone nowadays. I mean, it's so easy to put something on a backup. You don't have to have an iPod,
right?
Or an iPad or whatever. So there's a lot of options.
Okay.
But so that's another one. I would say, not following up on deliverables, like whatever our contract says, and our guys aren't living up to what those things are. If they were to change the overtime rate, as an example, or they don't play the full amount of time, or whatever the case may be, those would be.
So they shortchange the customer and don't deliver what they say. Right. I worked as a stage manager once for a company out of LA that had me oversee a stage here in Chicago. That's what the whole thing was. I was there to be the liaison between the booking agency, which was this company, making sure that I got the band, all of the things within their contract riders. And then on the opposite end, I made sure that the band actually went on stage on time, went on stage sober, played the full length and kind of went from there. And I remember one time, like, the band tried cutting it like 20 minutes early. And I'm like, tick-tock, baby, tick-tock. And because I saw the bar manager of this live event venue looking at me, I go, I got it. Not a problem. Right. I said, go pretend to do an encore. Go play the same shit twice. I don't care.
Right.
But, that's the way that it is. So, Okay. So what about drinking?
Oh yeah, that would be another one. Yeah. Good call. That, drugs, any of that kind of stuff we don't tolerate at all. And it's all done ahead of time. We talk this stuff before they even do their first event on their own. They sign a contract kind of.
Right. But let's just say, let's say in general. So you're saying that if you call yourself a professional DJ, even
for our company.
Okay. But let's just talk about an industry. Let's talk about industry, what you think might be industry standards. Is it fair to say an industry standard, working even in a bar or nightclub, you just don't drink?
That's a tough one. I mean,
why is it tough?
Well,
if you worked at AT&T,
a bar is a different situation. I mean, bartenders are still able to do shots with customers at times. I've seen certain bars allow that.
But is
it generally accepted? I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the industry.
Their standards, because I worked at bars where even on an off night, employees weren't allowed to drink within that bar. Because of the fact that they didn't want any drama happening with their employees for liability reasons. So if Brian normally DJs there on Wednesdays and on Thursday he's there and he's wasted and he grabs some girl's butt or whatever, and they find out that it's on the club, what's going to happen? The newspaper's going to say the DJ from Acme Widget Bar, sexually assaulted a patron, and that's that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't allow it for sure, but I mean, we actually met with a venue this week. I did, anyways. That they said their last wedding DJ that they used, they literally have to tell the bartender to cut him off.
Wow,
the DJ, And I'm like, wow, I can't believe that that's a thing. And it sure was. So
I know of some venues that they refuse to serve staff, period. Even if a photographer is done shooting and he's got everything packed up and he wants to get like a gin and tonic is like his evening drink to leave with, not to leave with, but to have on the way out.
Right.
The answer is no. Sorry.
Right.
Too bad,
Yeah.
so sad.
I agree. I'm a fan of not that, but like I said, I know a lot of club DJs that they feel like they've got to relax that way to do a set or whatever. They feel better. I mean, within reason, not to get completely trashed, but just like 1 or 2 beers that puts them at ease when they mix in a club. And I think in that environment, it's a little bit different than at a wedding.
Have you ever DJ'd wasted?
No, I couldn't.
I have in college.
Have you? Okay.
I mean, absolutely to the point where I can't even remember spending parts of the night.
Wow. Yeah.
In my fraternity house, absolutely. And like one of my last nights at a bar at the university, I spun it. Absolutely.
Right.
So,
well, Jody says here, what about texting on your phone? Looking at your phone too much might be a fireable offense.
I don't know if it's fireable, but I think it's definitely
professionalism.
Professionalism. I don't know if I would fire somebody unless they were totally gone. Now, ironically, in all of the years, the biggest issue I had was my own 16-year-old nephew working a wedding with me when he had a little 16-year-old girlfriend.
Right.
Because the two of them were Snapchatting all day. And at one point in time, I had to be the mean uncle. And he was assisting me. And I said, here's the deal. I said, you tell her good night right now. You're turning your phone off. Or I swear to Christ, I'm going to smash it into a million pieces. I'm going to hand you $400 and you can go get a new one on Monday.
Yeah.
And that was that. And that was a little bit of my father coming out, and even his father coming out, because it got turned off right away.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think I would do that if it was an employee, but my nephew was taking advantage because it was his uncle, and I took advantage back because he's my nephew. So that's that.
So now what with that said, like, so we have different, I mean, that's the problem, right? Was that we all have different standards as to what is, in a lot of cases, what is professional, what's fireable. So what do you do with that? What's the takeaway here with that? Like, do we need to, as an industry, are you saying that there needs to be a standard that we all follow?
I think there should be minimum standards, and I'd be really hard pressed to have somebody argue with me that you should be able to have 1 or 2 cocktails at somebody's wedding or bar mitzvah or what have you. You're not going to be able to sell that to me as an okay standard.
No, I agree. I'm the same way. So I think we're kind of on the same page with that.
Right.
I mean,
now at the same point in time, you and I had a difference of opinion when I shared with you Sunday morning when I had this idea for standards. I don't think that a photo booth company should set up during. I don't think any vendor should be coming in during an event in progress unless there was an emergency. Somebody had a flat tire and they had no choice. That's okay. But what's interesting was when I polled people, a lot of people said they don't care, as long as the client knows that they're going to be setting up in the middle of dinner and they're going to pull a rock and roller of equipment through.
Right.
And somebody said, well, it's different because it's not audio equipment.
No, I don't think it's,
I don't think that's the case either.
No.
I mean, I own a floral decor company, and I know that when I've DJ'd until midnight or 12:30, I've watched other florists at like 10 to 12 start taking the flowers down off of the centerpiece holders and have proceeded to take the centerpiece holder away. And they just figured, like, you've had the decor long enough. It doesn't matter. The wedding's over at 12.
Yeah.
And it's not even like they're blowing out the candles to just let them cool off so they can take them out of their cooler.
Right.
I can't imagine it. But then I've also seen DJs in the other room unplugging uplights, but not so much now, but I've seen it when uplights were the traditional uplights with the incandescent ball, they were hot.
Yeah.
And you had gel paper. Back in the day where we brought in the records on our mule.
Right.
I mean, I've seen it all.
I don't think you finished your story though, like, because you went to Comcast before you were talking about the photo booth guy. I think you were like talking about how his attire when you came in. Did you talk about I don't think you finished the story.
What was funny was the mom emailed me back. I emailed her to tell her that her son's picture was taken down.
Right.
And what ended up happening then was she told me how unprofessional I was for posting it. Now, had that person not been a minor and you really couldn't tell the person's face, I personally have no problem with it. Okay. And it's funny because in light of, someone just told me a story where in light of everything going on with like the Me Too situation, whenever you say something, if you stand by your convictions and say blah 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 blah, Your Honor, and you feel comfortable enough to say that in front of a judge that's going to condemn you or convict you or whatever, then yeah, you stand by it. For me, like, I stand by, like, I didn't even think, and it could be my age, I just assumed everybody was at least 18 working in the wedding industry. Okay. And he was still setting up an hour after we were done with introductions. Okay. And again,
what's the start time?
I don't know. I would assume it was probably 9 to 12.
Okay. Yeah.
So he was probably hired for 3 hours.
Right.
And, even if the client knew, and this is where, again, I believe that you have to hold us to a higher standard than the client.
Right.
The client doesn't know.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and that's the key. They don't know. And so if you're informing them, in our case, that's where we did disagree a little bit when we talked the other day, is that if we're going by the letter of the law or the way that our photo booth contract reads, we arrive an hour and a half prior. And we market it that way. We tell clients that way that, hey, we're going to get there an hour and a half prior. So, depending upon where the location is, where cocktail hour is, there may be recommendations that we make based on that. And in some cases, actually a lot of cases, the cocktail hour is in a different room than where the reception is.
Right.
So in those instances, if you want us to start after dinner at 9 o'clock and we have dinner at 8 o'clock, cocktail hours at 7 o'clock, then, we're getting there around 7:30 right before doors open and we're trying to set up. Now, when the introductions are happening and things like that, obviously if there's a formality, we know to kind of be discreet and not be setting up during those key moments.
But in this case, where the videographer was, more than likely, because the bridal party went right in and past what is the skeleton of a photo booth tent.
Right.
It certainly isn't very attractive visually. Now, I don't know if the videographer shot around it.
Right.
But in the event that he or she didn't, because they didn't think about it,
right,
they now have this ugly thing. But here's the most important thing, and this is what I'm going to ask you. You can say that to the client, but let me ask you, would you say, that the venue hates it, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even if that's your policy, because you're trying to cut payroll, right? You're trying to save yourself, whatever, $20 on payroll, $25 on payroll.
Right.
Something like that.
And let me be clear, we don't do that, but yes,
but you said you did it one time.
Our contract does say that. So it does say that we arrive an hour and a half prior, but I think I told you that one of our folks said that I like to arrive way early. So now that we know that, we just tell them, hey, our people will be there way before the event, because they didn't like it. So they did do it one time. Yes, they did do it once. Yeah, absolutely.
And here's what else was interesting about that. We had a vendor table, and the strange part was, all of a sudden, the catering director from the venue set up a second place setting. And I turned to her and I said, what are those for? And she goes, for the photo booth people. And I said, so they have dinner? And they go, yeah. Now, it could be because I took the picture just before introductions and I posted it really fast as we were waiting for the bridal party to come out of the bathroom, and finishing bustling the bride's dress or whatever. So I had a few minutes where there was just nothing happening.
Right.
It got posted, and I have a strong feeling that the mom got notified, because by the time introductions and blessings and toasts were over,
right,
like, I had already been alerted to the fact that, like, this mom was hot. So I sat down for dinner and I deleted it immediately. Now, what was interesting was that the photo booth operator and his girlfriend or attendant or whatever, the two people that were there, never came down to sit with us. So it could be that mom texted them and said, stay away from him, he's a big jerk, which could be the case. I mean, let's face it, everybody knows it. But the other part of it is, let's say that I didn't say anything. So you're not setting up early and you're taking a meal from the client. Like, it's kind of pathetic.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard the same thing about DJs getting meals too. Like, hey, why they're only here for 4 or 5 hours. Why are they even getting a meal? Now, photographer, totally get it. They're there for a while longer. I'm kind of indifferent to it, to be honest. I mean, we have it in our contract, but I mean, I don't, there are times when I can't eat at all. And 90% of the time I don't, to be honest with you, because I got too many things going on. So
I have it in my photography contract because those hours are anywhere from 8 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
And there are no breaks. Like other than grabbing something off of a buffet, like an appetizer station, there's no way for them to stop and grab something in between. So there's DJ. It's always appreciated, but it's not required.
Right.
And in Chicago, our receptions are about 5.5 to 6 hours. So there are times where I will forego eating. Truthfully, if I get a box meal like that I know has been sitting there since 8 o'clock in the morning, I take a pass and I'll grab something on the way home or whatever. I know other people pack granola bars and power bars and whatever else, and that's that. But again, this is just one example of standards. And again, here's what's interesting. You walk into a hotel and you can see how beautiful the hotel is or how dingy it is, and you automatically realize this hotel has higher standards than another. And now you know that from shopping around. I believe the same thing is said with DJs based on how we conduct ourselves and how we handle our business. And that's going to be it. And the only way that happens is on the job. Now, that bride's mom may never have known anything about any of this. But again, the venue did. And more importantly, I also have a belief that everybody goes to a wedding and has a good time and they drink and they dance and whatever until they get engaged.
Right.
And the minute they get engaged, they become a critic and they do nothing but observe everything because they want everything that went right at that wedding at their wedding. And anything that even raised an eyebrow, they don't want at their wedding. So again, I've always based things on the most critical someone can be. So if you're talking about creating packages and amortizing in your cost of payroll for the entire event, whether you're in a market that has 3-hour weddings, 4-hour weddings, 5-hour weddings, that's it. We have a photo booth this Saturday and it's from 5 until 9 o'clock, even though the wedding goes until 12. And I'm like, I called the bride up today and I said, I just wanted to confirm that this wasn't a typo. She goes, no. She goes, we're on Lake Michigan. She goes, so we're starting a bonfire at 10:30. And she goes, and I know that everyone's going to go out for it. So we want to do the photo booth in the front end. Okay. But like I asked, answered, found out what time we could get in, set up, where the photo booth was being set, placed, called the venue, made sure they have a 6-foot table for us, tablecloth and skirted or linened or whatever you want to call it.
So what was your concern? The end time?
My concern was that we would get there at 5, that it was a typo on our end. And we'd get there at 5 and have the thing open. And then when we went to go pack up at 9 o'clock or what have you, that all of a sudden she'd be like, no. And even there, knowing that we were done at 9, I specifically asked the venue, like, based on where we're at, can we discreetly leave?
Right.
Because if she said, oh no, you're going to be wherever, I would have told my attendant, you can put away the props, you can turn off the machine. You can't drag I'm not going to let you drag a photo booth on a rock and roller through a packed dance floor.
Right. Well, then that's the same thing I'm saying is that I think it's to each their own as far as like what their perception is, right? You can't control somebody would say to you, gosh, you put up how tacky, to put away his props and turn off his thing. They don't know that you ended at 9 o'clock. Right. Yeah.
Well, it depends. If the booth itself is off.
Right. But that's like, but you're just standing around. Technically you're off the clock, but I'm talking about,
I'm not tearing it down.
Right. But
it's kind of like you don't have the, you don't have the cheese and crackers out from cocktail hour until midnight either.
Right.
Like when things close, they close. It doesn't mean though that they tear down the bar and wheel it out of the room.
Right. But the same thing happens when they bring something in. If they bring in we had this at the wedding we were at this weekend, they brought in a cotton candy station. They didn't have the cotton candy station on all night and bring it in. No, they brought it in when the service was coming on. So with the photo booth.
I think that's wrong.
Wow. Really?
They would have set up the machine ahead of time.
Yeah.
And again,
I think it ruins. Well, in that case, it ruins the surprise of like, hey, we're bringing in like extra, an extra thing. The photo booth is the same way.
You could put a cloth over the cotton candy machine. No one would have a clue what it is.
I look tacky, I think. A cloth over
really?
a cloth.
As opposed to
rolling in something and people going, oh, I wonder what's coming in now.
Really? Rolling it in? Okay,
yeah.
We'll have to agree to disagree on this one. And we just spent 34 minutes talking about it. But here's what it all comes down to is standards. And unfortunately, I don't know that the DJ industry has very high standards. And I think that everybody in life chooses to pick their spots. You know, like I know people that go, I'm an awesome beat mixing DJ, and I say nothing on the microphone, so you never have to worry about me being hokey or cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have other people that go, everything that I do is based on what I do on the microphone and how I wow people.
Right.
And I don't ever have to learn how to beat mix. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you truly want to have the highest standards, you really would want to have a hybrid. If you can have a well-polished MC like Mark Farrell or Randy Bartlett or Peter Mary or what have you, and then you have somebody with the mixing ability of a Jason Jani,
mm-hmm.
To me, it's a pretty unstoppable force. Wouldn't you say?
Again, I think it's stylistically, it depends on the client. I mean, I could have both those guys, and I could have a completely and a client that doesn't like one or the other. And even
but if you have the talent, you can turn it on and you can turn it off.
Yeah,
the problem is if you don't have the talent, like there are DJs that have point blank said, I don't need to beat mix. I don't need to learn how to. And it's like every excuse every DJ has. In the 45,000 years I've been doing this, not one person's ever asked me. No, they haven't asked you because they know that you can't.
Right.
So they've gone to somebody that they know is proficient in beat mixing.
Right.
Or they know someone that's proficient with an incredible voice, or it tells great story, like whatever it is. So that's all. And that's where people don't want to listen. So, they just want to do what they want to do. So, so again, I think that people need to look at their standards, decide where they're at. Cause I think a lot of DJs all think like, well, I'm going to charge a lot and then I can get the fancy office. I don't need to invest in the fancy office first. And then they all say the same thing. Well, I don't need to do that. I can meet anybody at a Starbucks. Everybody does it. Yeah, if everyone's doing it, that means your standards are here. If you want to have higher standards, get to a beautiful office or use a shared office space or have a bit different presentation. So that's just me. What can I tell you? There's a reason Gucci's on Rodeo Drive and not in Hollywood, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. So on to the next thing. So this past week also on Facebook, one of our high-spirited DJ friends said that he, what do you call it? That he had a client that met with them about 3 weeks ago. And in the course of the consultation, they gave the DJ I want to go home and think about it. 3 weeks later, they came back to say, we'd like to go with you. And by that time, the DJ was booked. Now, this was for a January wedding. So you're not talking January, and this is in the Midwest. So I don't think that like everyone's booked to capacity. And this company does have a lot of capacity. But this particular owner turned around, and when the bride said, well, and he had also in the process raised his rates in the last 3 or 4 weeks based on pure timing. Maybe it was June 1st and it's halfway through the year, whatever it was. But the reality is this bride missed out on the DJ she wanted and her price went up. And so he turned around and had posted and was like, hashtag too bad, so sad, hashtag you snooze, you lose. And he almost did it like, how dare you not book us on the spot? Now, I don't know about you, but I don't always buy what I want as a consumer right then and there on the spot.
Yeah. But you do run the risk of losing out though, right? If you wanted to go to a concert, you don't have to buy it, but you might be stuck in the cheap seats if you don't get that ticket that day, right?
Well, I agree with that. But even if I go to a restaurant, I'm going to look at the menu and decide, what I want and what I don't want. And yes, if I'm at a restaurant that serves live lobsters and they boil them and that, I may miss out on it. But I get that. But what was funny was he almost was enthralled with being able to tell this bride, suck it.
Right.
And
that
was the part where I'm kind of like, Okay. Like I get that there's a certain bittersweetness that you know you're in demand, you know that you've got it booked, but I also doubt very much that his company was booked totally to capacity. And if he is a large referral based business, I would think that you would want to do everything you can to please that customer and say, no, unfortunately, Brian is booked. We told you we only hold the day for 3 days.
Right.
It's been 3 weeks. And we'd love to have you come talk to KC. He'll do a great job for you, just like Brian will.
Yeah.
And he's much better looking.
Yeah.
And, could we set up that appointment? Because now you're still, let's face it, sales are about solving people's problems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it also puts money in your pocket. So unless that particular DJ was the last one available for the day,
right.
It's no different than if that restaurant's out of lobster, they're not going to tell you, yeah, you waited, you snooze, you lose, suck it, get out of my place. No, They're going to recommend something else. And,
that's why I think you have to set the expectation early. So, when we end any kind of sales call on our end, we do let them know, hey, listen, just letting you know, we do book on a first come, first serve basis. There's no pressure sales here. If you need time, take all the time you want, but just know that I can't guarantee anything without a signed contract and a deposit. That's kind of our requirement. So just want to make sure you're aware of that. And then we also put that in the follow-up email that we send them as well. So that way it's in writing. It's not like, oh, hey, I don't remember you telling me that, which I always recommend doing both just because cover your basis there. But the gloating and, saying you snooze, you lose. I mean, maybe the only thing I can think of is maybe this person wanted to just like Facebook's their place to vent. Not that that's a place to do it, but
I don't friend my clients. We've talked about this, but my colleagues are still there. And so I cut and pasted it and I emailed it to you and John as a topic. We give people 3 days to make a decision. Then the date is released to others. Totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
Lady waits almost 3 weeks. Not only did the DJ she met with book the two, wait, what does it say? Not only did the DJ she met with book, but 2 others also booked that day, January 19th. Oh, and our annual price increase happened after the date she was released. She got pissy that she couldn't have the DJ. She talked to, who she talked to. He doesn't have commas in here. She got pissy that she couldn't have the DJ she talked to, even though she acknowledged she was past the 3-day deadline, and then got mad that I wouldn't honor the old pricing.
Right.
Hashtag don't run a charity. Hashtag move along. Hashtag next in line, please. Hashtag you snooze, you lose. Hashtag you probably were going to be a problem anyway. Now, again, I don't know all of the story, but I don't.
Sounds very Comcast if you don't mind me saying.
And you know what? Here we are. We're an hour and 48 minutes on. So I've been on hold now for a full hour. Are you right?
Right.
Full hour, and I still have nothing.
But
and this was after I told the guy that I'd prefer not to be put on hold. He put me on hold anyway.
But that kind of attitude, I mean, again, I go back to the point I made earlier in that I don't think it's how he started building his business. It's now that he's got this, let's just say it's doing great and he's got enough people knocking on his door where he can turn people down. Eventually, word's going to get around the street that other standards probably are going to start to fall as well. Like not just the customer service. I mean, I have never seen it where it doesn't seem to show itself in other parts of the business. So I think, hey, enjoy it while it lasts, because it sounds like, things are about to take a turn here shortly.
Well, what's the old adage? Be careful of Be careful of the people you step on crawling up the mountain, because those are the same asses you're going to be kissing as you come down it, or something like that.
I don't know that one, but sounds like a good one.
I live in different worlds. More Chicago.
Yeah.
So that's that. But you and I are on the same page where, like, I just don't get the mentality.
No,
I don't. I really sincerely don't get the mentality. Like I said, unless 100% of my guys were booked, I would have happily redirected her toward another DJ. And if she got upset that these DJs weren't, in keeping with the other one, then I would have politely shown her the door and just moved on. And it kind of reminds me when I see animosity like this in general, when my DJs would have a really rough night and they would tell me like, oh yeah, this uncle was wasted and he was this and he was that, and I was ready to kick his ass and stuff. I turned around and I go, why? What do you mean? I go, why? Why are you so upset? Well, they shouldn't treat people that way. I go, you're right. I go, are you ever going to see the guy again? No.
Right.
Then who cares? It sucks. It would have been a nicer evening had you not had to deal with it, but who cares?
Right.
They're gone. They're out of your life. Okay. And that's it. So that's all. You never, ever have to see him again.
Right. Yeah.
So we hit standards. We talked about this attitude of this particular DJ, I suppose. And then that brings us to our last topic of the night so far, which was the big Supreme Court ruling in Colorado about the bakery that refused service to a lesbian couple. Actually, didn't refuse service, refused to bake them a wedding cake. They were happy to still sell them brownies, cookies, a birthday cake. Their Christian beliefs for their specific denomination and their deep rooted religious beliefs were that these two people believe that homosexuality is a sin and everybody has the right to be happy, but they could not condone being a part of it. And when they first did it, when they first brought it to a courtroom, the state of Colorado found in favor of the lesbian couple. And I believe, and I could be wrong here, but I think they even cited them for damages over like $100,000.
Wow.
Which that was the one I was kind of like, okay, your feelings are hurt. What happened was not right. But I'm trying to understand as a business owner, like, where are the actual damages? And that's the part where I'm kind of scratching my head going, what's the story here? And then they took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled that they were within their First Amendment right to deny them service. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's always tricky when you start mixing all these different, social and religious and all these different components. But I mean, I'm a free market kind of guy. I feel like the market will dictate positively or negatively based on your actions, including what we just talked about earlier. I mean, how you service a client, getting there early or whatever. And in this case, whether or not you're going to refuse service to somebody. I mean, we had a situation recently where it didn't have anything to do with someone's sexual orientation or race or anything like that. We just didn't think that was a fit for us. And that's happened a few times. And we've had to, I don't want to say refuse service, but we've recommended somebody else for them because we didn't think we were fit. I think that happens a lot. And so, if I was doing this to every customer, word would get around that, hey, this guy isn't doing this, and my business would suffer. So I'm a big proponent of allowing people as much freedom as possible, even if it's something that I don't agree with, because eventually, it'll play itself out.
Right.
The way I feel about it. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Well, I love everybody. White, black, Hispanic, Jewish, Muslim, gay, straight. I'm down for partying. And, the only people that I don't like are the people who don't pay their bills. But prior to that, I am down for helping anybody celebrate any special occasion in their life. And personally, on a religious level, it's not mine to judge, when everybody goes upstairs or downstairs, it'll get sorted out. And that's the way that it is. And so I choose to take that kind of Switzerland-esque thing. It's not my place to judge anybody for what makes them happy. And I love everybody equally that way. But at the same point in time, I have to be honest, I do not want the government telling me who I can and can't do business with. Like, I don't want to be forced to do business with someone. And if it turns out that I just don't want to do business with John Doe, if John Doe happens to be gay or black or part of a protected And I don't think the gay is protected right now, are they? I know that black is protected, but the point being is I don't want to have a fake litigious situation on my hands where I'm defending someone. I didn't want to do business with you, not because you're gay or black or Hispanic or Jewish or whatever. You're just a jerk. And I don't want to do your wedding, and that's my concern. And when I've posed it backward, the question being is for everyone that said, oh, no, they should have made the cake no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
The question being is, would you feel the same way if it was the gay couple and they had a cake that said, homosexuality is a sin? Clean, no explicit, no anything, no racial slurs. But if they were forced to make a cake that said that, would they want to deny that right? Would they want to deny that cake to that, in my opinion, closed-minded moron? Okay. But now that we're talking about, the government being involved in telling us what we can and can't do, I don't want to be forced to do business with someone that I don't want to do. Same thing as I don't want to hire anybody that I don't think is a good fit for my company for what the government may say or not say. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. So we haven't talked to anybody at all. So you jump on Facebook and do the hellos and knock some things out, and I'll do YouTube and we'll recap everybody's thoughts. And why don't you go ahead and start with Facebook? Who's online? Who are we saying hello to? And what does everybody have to say?
Just a lot of highs and good topics. So we got Moy Munoz, is Scott Wester, Scott Lassiter, Sean Frady's in the hoop and on the call here. We got a few other folks jumping on. So Jason Henniger is here as well, so joining us. So yeah, we got a few folks.
Got it
on the wire. Just enjoying the conversation.
Very good. WAB Mobile Entertainment. His name is William, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. How are you, William? I appreciate you're probably our most loyal listener because, you're probably at work, blowing off work or watching. I don't know. Reggie Kemp says hello. How was upstate Wisconsin? Nice to see you, Reggie. You were nice enough to say hello to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Shawnee D says welcome to Louisville, Kentucky. So we've got actually with Jason's from Kentucky too. So there's that. Jody Harris says screw her. I'm hoping that she's referring to this Comcast person.
I think it was the mom.
Oh, the mom. You know what? Here's the thing. Even with that, though, I don't have a problem if people just don't value what I have to offer. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could never in a million years see buying a Gucci watch. I could, there's just certain things no matter how much you sell it to me, I'm just not gonna buy it. Okay. Yeah. If I won the lottery tomorrow and I had all the money in the world, I couldn't see myself buying certain things. So certain things I'd afford a luxury, but again, that's just based on what you're valuing. John Sawyers, how are you? Hello back. Jody Harris again, drunk, drinking on the job, being high on the job, getting stoned with guests, drinking with guests, pissing off the catering manager at an event. I think that's how she gets all of her referrals. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously she's against that. Leaving early is a bad one too. Drinking with the guests, even when they offer you to do a shot with you. I've had that happen quite a few times. We talked about texting already. Attire, no jeans, no t-shirts, no sneakers. Shorts obviously are okay. She says bath people. I think she meant bathe people, meaning it was an overall
hygiene.
Yeah. So, which I could see. Nobody wants a stinky DJ or photographer or whatever. Let's see. That's what Casey was talking about. Attire. We have some very sloppy photographers here. I'll tell you, there are a couple of companies out in our area, mostly more the low ballers. Their dress code for their staff is pretty lax, where they're really just getting a warm body there. And I can't see it. Jody says, back in the day, photographers and my husband, a videographer, wore a tux. And you know what's really funny? It's funny you bring that up. Have you seen Nick Spinelli's video?
I did.
Okay. And it's interesting. I don't agree with all of it because I think he's kind of, for those of you who don't know Nick Spinelli, we'll give you the background because I always hate that. Nick Spinelli is one of the guys from SCE, Jason Jani's company, and he's been dropping some really good, entertaining, and educational little DJ tips on working with photographers, working with video people. What are they, like 3-4 minutes at the most?
Yeah.
And he's been getting great follow through, and people have been digging it. I was just talking to John Young about how he's got, on average over 1,000 views for every single one. So this past one that he just launched yesterday was about dress code. And he talked about how outdated tuxedos were.
The cummerbund.
Well, the cummerbund, because he spelled it wrong.
Oh.
And I shot him a note teasing him about it. And he goes, that's where I looked it up. Well, guess what? You looked it up in like dictionary spelled wrong then, because it's cummerbund. So, and he added a cummerbund, like cummerbund, and that's not what it is. So, and I only probably know that because I have friends in the tuxedo business. So otherwise I'd probably be saying the exact same thing. Anyhow, he brought up, and it was really interesting. He was giving fashion tips, and I thought I was watching like the East Coast, New Jersey version of Joan Rivers' fashion review, as he was talking about what's hot and everything else and buying pocket squares. And the funniest part is when he talked about that flower thing on your jacket. And I'm like, that's called a boutonniere.
Yeah.
And but if you haven't checked him out, Nick Spinelli, we should have him on as a guest. Yeah. And you know what? He's got lots of energy. He's a good, fun, young guy. And I think his viewpoint will be appreciated by our viewers.
Our young viewers.
Yes, our young viewers, none of them. Scott Carroll is in the house. Jimmy Spin's in the house. Did I miss anybody? I think I hit everybody on YouTube. So that pretty much covers everything there. I am at 2 hours and 1 minute still on hold with Comcast.
I hope you have free minutes.
I have unlimited.
Okay, that's good.
So, but I can't wait to honestly show this link to the people and point blank say, like, how do you put a customer on hold for over an hour?
Right.
Comcast cares.
Yeah.
Comcast cares.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a painful one today. So what have you got going this weekend?
So I'm going to Louisville tomorrow morning, doing a rehearsal dinner, and then I come back. I'm actually teaching a NYU class to event planners. Okay, I'm a guest speaker for that.
Got it.
And then I have what event Sunday? Something Sunday. That's it. So 3 days, and then it's a 3-dayer for me. So
very good. Very good. Yeah, we have a bridal show up in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And I'm actually headed up there Friday. I am meeting with the owners of the various Premier Bride magazines from across the country. Nice. So I am looking at adding Premier Bride Chicago as one of my investments as part of the big Keith Christopher company's portfolio. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to get to meet the owners of that on Friday. Tragically, my business partner in the flower shop, her mother is currently in hospice and it's going to be a little bit chaotic. So we're freeing up her schedule as much as possible so she can spend as much time with her family as possible. So for those of you that have met Dana, keep her and her family in your thoughts and prayers. I would strongly appreciate it. I know she would too.
Right.
So we are at 8:58. Is John here? Are you still in the house, John?
I'm here.
You going to show your face? Say hello?
I could.
You got 2 minutes. There he is, everybody.
I am
the man behind the curtain.
That's right, the voice behind the curtain.
Well, we haven't said anything about Mike Walter or Joe Bunn this would have been almost 2 episodes that you let that go by.
That's true.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Didn't he move to Iceland like 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
That's what I had heard. He moved to Iceland and was starting Elite Entertainment Iceland. Something like that.
All powered by geothermal.
If you guys didn't tune in today,
I didn't.
They got Electro Voice as a sponsor of their podcast. So now you're going to be able to hear Joe Bunn say y'all in even nicer clearer than ever before. So
we need to get a sponsor, is what you're saying.
I would pitch Radio Shack, but they're not there anymore. So I was going for Hooters too, and John said no, it's not politically correct.
We were kind of focusing on that educational side of it.
I would get Comcast, but after this show, they may not want to. They may not want to talk to me.
See if that photo booth company would want to be a part of it.
You think so? So, but
anyway,
yeah. John, you have anything you want to toss in to our viewers?
I was thinking about halfway through that somebody from Comcast was going to pop onto the phone. I was waiting for it, just like any time.
I was waiting for it too. That's why I brought it up.
Because I figured it would at the most inopportune time is when they would have picked it. They would have picked up the call.
So there would have been no inopportune time because it would have been great. It would have been great, great theater here. So I'm at 2 hours and 5 minutes since I started this phone call, and we started talking pre-show like 15 or 20 minutes of the hour.
Yeah.
So I've been on hold for an hour and 20 minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen watching this, if you want your brides and grooms to love you when you have a problem with them, put them on hold for an hour and 20 minutes. Say you learned it at Comcast Business University. That's what they should do. Like how there's Disney University, everyone writes a book. Comcast. Your business is sure to fail in less than a year.
Oh, wow.
So I've got nothing else to add. I'm going to say this. If you have something that you think needs to be talked about on the business side of the business, shoot myself or John or Brian a topic suggestion. We would be more than happy to talk about it. Because if you say, what I'm having a challenge with in my business is ABCDEFG, we would be happy to research it and see if we have the knowledge to do it. Otherwise, we will tell you to tune into one of John's other shows because he's got a whole family of fantastic people that'll help you out. And if we really don't want to talk about it, we're just going to dump you like Comcast dumps me on hold. Other than that, Brian, you got anything exciting to say?
Nah, get your tickets for the Marquee show.
That's
I guess
right. We are 1 month and 2 days away.
Wow.
July 9th. And why? To improve your business and to increase my bank account. I would like to see, I'd like to be able to afford McDonald's. No, I would, in all seriousness, we've got, I believe, is the best collection of presenters in the DJ and photo booth industry. I've said it from day one. It's been my goal. Let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, we're a few dollars more than the other conferences. But you know what? If you don't think it's worth it, you let me know. And I'll have you talk to my Comcast person and we'll go from there. But no, marqueeshow.com. You save $50 by using Disc Jockey News. So that's right there. It makes it all worthwhile for John to put us on the air. Right, John?
There you are.
All
right, take us out.
And Brian and I are committed to being with you every Thursday, live all summer long. So don't take it off. For those of you that are outside swatting away mosquitoes, drinking your beer, we appreciate you tuning in. So like I say every week, good night. God bless. We will see you all real soon. John say, and we're out.
And we're out.